Hello, everyone. I am going to copy this link and reshare this because this is our first time going live on YouTube and it got a little messed up. So I have to get everything reshared really quick, but it shouldn't take me but a minute. And I don't think anybody's on just yet, so I'm going to ramble until copy until anybody gets on. Link. Do the link. Let's see. Updated link. Here. Move that to trash. Nobody's on yet. Resharing that. Let me go to the group. Oops. Okay. I have this shared everywhere. Welcome to EndoNight Chat. For anybody that might be watching the replay, this is a weekly chat that we do just to kind of support everybody. For anybody that might need to come in the comments and ask a question, get educated with endometriosis, or that just needs some support, all questions can go in the comments and we will answer those real time. I'm usually on here for anywhere between 15 to 30 minutes. It just depends on if anybody hops on. We will be saving our EndoNight chats from now on YouTube, and that way anybody can come back and watch those and have any of their questions answered. My office is a little messy, so ignore the background. I definitely need to get a background on YouTube, I guess, for whenever we do these. If you are finding us through YouTube or some other platform, if you aren't familiar with any of our platforms, we are Endo Forward Foundation. We are a 501c3 approved nonprofit in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. We serve several counties in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. I think there's about 9 or 10 of them in total. And like I said, we are a 501c3 nonprofit, so we are certified by the state of Texas and the federal government. And our focus is people who have endometriosis, supporting them through that, walk, that journey. Hi, Delana. Thanks for joining. If you haven't been to EndoNight, I was just kind of going over what EndoNight is. So it's just a time where you can ask any questions in the chat box. If you want to talk about anything specific, we'll answer everything live. Yadi might be jumping on with me in just a bit. We were on a call a little bit ago with an Endo warrior, and I think she said she was going to hop on, but we'll see. So we might be joined by her in a little bit. But if nobody has any questions, I just sit and kind of ramble. And I'm on here for anywhere between like 15 to 30 minutes, just depending on who hops on and what interactions we have. So like I was saying, if you found us through YouTube and you're not familiar with our platforms, then definitely check us out. Our website is endoforwardfoundation.com, and all of our social links are there. We have some information about endometriosis. If you do our website /endometriosis, You'll find some information there, including some FAQs. I've been working on updating those this afternoon to add some post-surgery tips, and we're going to do some pre-surgery tips. It's something that we've been approached with quite a bit lately, so we definitely want to get that information out there for anybody that needs it. Hello to whoever just joined a minute ago. Welcome to EndoNight Chat, all things endometriosis. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. FAQs will answer live. If you'd like to chat about something specific, drop it in the comments and we'll kind of go from there. So otherwise, I just sit and I ramble about whatever comes to mind. I have had somewhat a rough day with my endo. I was supposed to go down to meet my new doctor, and we had some complications with that. So we're not going down to meet my new doctor, and on the hunt for another endometriosis doctor potentially here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So that's a little frustrating. So I'm definitely in a weird headspace tonight, but definitely going to do my best to make sure that everybody feels supported and all those questions get answered. So, until any questions come through, I will just go over some of these FAQs on our website. If you haven't seen them, like I said, it's endoforwardfoundation.com/endometriosis. So some of the things that have come up this week, some people have asked, what are those symptoms that I'm looking for when I'm suspecting endometriosis? And for a lot of us, it's those painful periods. Yay! We're happy to have you. We haven't been able to have them the last couple of weeks. I think one of the weeks I wound up having a really bad migraine. And then if we do any kind of events during the week, we don't typically host Endo Night. But we are trying to juggle that. There are only 3 board members right now. And so one of us is out of town for work. And then 2 of us have endometriosis and are just battling flare-ups and doctors. And so it's been a little bit challenging for us to get on here, but we are doing a lot behind the scenes and hopefully going to bring you all some really great stuff. I'll share a sneak peek announcement in just a few minutes. So stay tuned, but we have some exciting stuff coming up. But some people are asking us like, how do I know? Or what should I do if I'm dealing with such and such symptoms? So for me, I had really painful periods. Like I'm talking on the bathroom floor, sick as a dog, with all the GI symptoms. And I spent pretty much like the first 3 days of my menstrual cycle on the bathroom floor crying. I remember one time my mom said, I don't know how you're ever going to have kids, because I always wanted 4 kids. I don't know how you're ever going to have kids if you can't deal with period pain. And boy, I think she eats her words now, because now she knows it wasn't just like normal period pain. I think she thought I just didn't have a good pain tolerance, and that was not the case at all. So if you have that debilitating period pain, definitely move towards the direction of advocating for yourself, because pain with, menstruation is normal to a certain degree. It shouldn't be unbearable. It shouldn't completely interrupt your life. You shouldn't have to completely miss work. You shouldn't be stuck at home, for days on end trying to deal with those symptoms. I, at one point, had burned my stomach as a teenager because I wore the wearable heating pads like so many days so that I could get to school. Obviously, I can't miss school as a teenager. And so that's not normal. Irregularities with your period. So a lot of people, my age at that time, were able to say like, oh, my period comes every day on the 16th. Or, oh, I start every 3rd Monday of the month. Yeah, I had no idea. There was like no tracking it. I remember at one point I was wanting to go on a cruise, and I had bought like some really cute white shorts, and it had dawned on me that maybe I shouldn't wear those because I'm going to be standing in line. And if I started my period that day, I just had no idea when it was coming. So that is another possible symptom that you have endometriosis. It just shows up, and then maybe it stays for 5 to 7 days, and maybe it stays for 40. I had a lot of 40-day periods where I bled for 40 days nonstop, and it was awful. So that's not normal. Pain with intercourse. So if you just keep finding that, you've done pelvic floor therapy and, you're still really limited on what you can do sex wise or how long you can tolerate sex, stuff like that, that's not normal. So definitely get that looked at. I would recommend pelvic floor therapy just from a personal experience. I'm not a doctor, but pelvic floor therapy definitely makes a difference in a lot of areas of life, even post surgery. I always recommend it to everybody. I come from a background in physical therapy on the management and billing side. And so one of my good friends is actually a pelvic floor therapist here in the DFW area. And she's a really big advocate for it too after surgery. And so I've just kind of carried that on. I did 4 or 6 weeks of pelvic floor therapy after my last surgery. And it definitely made a difference. So yeah. Chronic pelvic pain, if you can feel your ovulation, if you can, feel your periods, if you're having pelvic pain, other parts of the month and it's not really getting better, if it's limiting your activity, if you can't exercise, if you can't bend over, if you can't do household chores, none of that's normal. I was told a lot of it was normal or a lot of it was in my head, and it's not. You're completely validated. It's not normal. So I don't really want to speak too much on that, Delina, because I don't know what the medication is, and I haven't looked at any studies. If you want to DM the page, then I can definitely pull some studies and send them over to you. I'm not a medical professional. I have worked in healthcare for many years, and I am working on getting my patient advocacy certification. But again, I'm not a medical doctor. I can, pull some studies and let you know what it says. From a personal standpoint, not representing the board or the foundation in any way, shape, or form, for me personally, I just feel like I go through so much already that I'm very hesitant to try any kind of exploratory medications until the research is there and the studies have shown, its effectiveness or risks. I know at some point somebody has to try it to, say what kind of risks or outcomes happen. But I just feel like for me, I'm just in so much pain already. And I'm fearful because I've heard some horror stories of some medications that are already on the market and people dealing with lifelong consequences from those medications. And I just can't imagine my situation getting worse from a medication. And so I just err on the side of caution. And for me personally, my personal standpoint, I don't do them. I was offered a prescription that's in the trial phases right now for hot flashes since I am surgically in menopause now, and I declined that. Again, just personal preference that I'm just terrified of what they might do. I know there are 2 drugs, like I said, on the market, and I personally know somebody who took one of them and has lifelong damage from it. Again, everybody's body's different, so it really is up to the research that you see, the outcomes that you're going to see online, and then to make that personal decision for yourself. So, but like I said, message the page. I'm happy to pull any kind of research or data that I can find, and that way you can make an educated decision for yourself. Yeah. Yes, from a human one, it's just hard to know. And like I said, being from I've worked in healthcare my entire career. I have a master's degree in healthcare. And so I know that at some point somebody has to try the medication to say if it works or what the outcomes are. I just feel like we go through so much and it's already so hard to get the care that we need. I'm just terrified for myself to add more symptoms from a medication that might be lifelong. Now, I am not like anti medication, anti-vaccines. I'm none of that. I just always wait for that clinical stuff to come out to make those decisions. So it's hard. I know it's so hard. I'm so sorry, but message us with the name if you want to share that, and I'll do my best to try to get some information over to you. I'm always happy to help with that. I sit and stare at research for hours on end to bring y'all content on the page, and I don't mind pulling more. So I'm interested to see also which medication. Oh, girl. Whew. Yeah, you're so welcome. I'm so sorry that you went through that. I hate that for you. I have PCOS as well. Well, I still have PCOS, but I don't have my ovaries, so I don't have any cysts anymore. But I definitely had my fair share of cysts, and they are not fun. So my heart goes out to you. I hope you're recovering well. Yeah, no fun. So some of the other symptoms that you might see with endo, I need to do some more research into it before I talk too much on it, but gastrointestinal symptoms, sorry. So if you're having like celiac type symptoms where, you're having diarrhea or a lot of nausea, IBS type symptoms. I didn't mean celiac, I meant IBS. IBS type symptoms, that could be a sign that you have endometriosis. So I've both times had adhesions on my bowels and had endo on my bowels, which has to get taken off. And if you don't know what adhesions are, they look like spider webs. I wish I had my surgical images in here. They're in the car because I went to the doctor this week, but I always think of them as spider webs. So they're like this fibrous tissue or scar tissue, and they push everything together and they like stick everything together. It's almost like as if you were thinking about like Spider-Man and the Spidey sticky webs. And so they glue everything together. And so what happens is the adhesions pull everything and push everything in ways that they shouldn't be. And so they get restricted, and then your normal function of your body doesn't function properly. And so you can definitely wind up with, I did personally, with GI symptoms because everything was kind of glued together and moved and pushed and not able to function properly. So maybe a little TMI, but we've got to talk about it because it could help somebody one day. But every time I had a bowel movement, my stomach hurt to the nines, like so uncomfortable. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, can I just eat a liquid diet and not have to have a bowel movement? Because right at the end, I was getting so worse. I was getting so much worse. And any bowel movement was, painful. I was like, if you've ever seen like the movie White Chicks where, they're trying to put the pants on and they're like touching all the walls. And yeah, that was definitely me towards the end because I was like, please, no more pain. So if you're having like bloating, if you've ever heard of endo belly, if not, do some Googling on that. It's where your stomach swells and you look like you're pregnant, but you're not. I currently am going through that again. I went through it before my last surgery. I'm going through it again. I can't wear pants right now, and it is awful. So if you're having that constipation, diarrhea, nausea, abdominal pain, definitely symptoms. I would, take the time to visit with a GI doctor if you can, because you could have IBS. I just did a post this week, if you missed it, where there are some relations to celiac and endo. And so if you have endometriosis or if you have celiac, you could have, the other one. They're possibly linked in some way. We're still doing research and trying to identify the root cause of one or the other, but there's a chance that if you have one, you have the other. Fatigue and low energy. This is always a hard one when people ask me, when you go to the doctor and they're like, well, do you have fatigue or low energy because of your autoimmune condition or because of your endo? I have no idea. So I have Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is an autoimmune condition where your antibodies attack your thyroid and try to kill it because it thinks that it's an organ that shouldn't be there. And mine is triggered most likely by Epstein-Barr, which is mono. And a lot of us get mono in junior high, high school. And so if you have EB, there's a good chance that you might have, some issues from that. And mine's came to be an autoimmune thyroid condition. It also runs in my family, so it is a genetic thing as well. But over the years, they found that there is a link between autoimmune conditions and endometriosis. To clarify, endo is not an autoimmune condition that we know of yet, but there is a link that if you have endo, there's a chance you might have some autoimmune conditions. And I won't speak too much on that tonight, but if you do a quick Google search, you'll be able to find some credible information on some of the endometriosis sites about that and what that might look like. But one of those is Hashimoto's, and I have that. And so it just causes really bad fatigue. So I can sleep 12 hours a night and get up and, pity around the house for a little bit, do some housework or clean the kitchen, make breakfast, go get some lunch, and I come home and I'm ready for a nap again. And my naps are like 3 hours. So it is exhaustion to the 10th power, pure exhaustion all the time. I have 2 teas on my desk. I live on caffeine, and I know that some people say if you have endo, you shouldn't drink caffeine because it can make inflammation worse. I can't not function without some kind of caffeine, and tea is my kryptonite because it's a little bit healthier than soda. But if you see back here behind me, there's also another tea right there. We went and got boba tea, so I technically have 3 in my office right now. But this is what keeps me going. Another symptom that you might experience is infertility. If you're having trouble getting pregnant, it'll be a good chance to check to see if you have endometriosis. And just remember, endometriosis is diagnosed or ruled out by a laparoscopy surgery. So you can't rule out endometriosis for certain until you've had a surgery where a licensed surgeon goes in to make sure that they're not seeing any endometriosis in there, or you don't have clogged tubes or anything like that. A lot of people with endo wind up with scarred tubes. And so a lot of scar tissue builds up in there and it blocks, the egg from traveling and being able to implant and all that fun stuff. So if you're having issues with infertility, might be a good idea to get checked for endo, especially if you have some of these other symptoms. But yeah, and just a disclaimer, if you don't have all these symptoms, then there still is a chance that you have endo if you have 1 or 2 of them. And if you don't have any symptoms at all, there's still a chance you have endo. Not everybody presents with the same symptoms. Everybody's body's different. There are people who have endometriosis and walk around without any symptoms at all and possibly never know it. But just remember that 1 in 10 women per the studies will have endometriosis. And so I always, sit when I'm driving or, I'm walking around in a store and I count like 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 10. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, that person probably has endo. And then I'll do it again. And it's kind of daunting once you start to look at the world around you and you start to realize that, there's probably a lot of people that that either have it and don't talk about it or have it and don't know. I personally have 3 family members with it. 2 are non-biological to me. They are my step-grandfather's family, but I see him as my grandfather, so I don't ever call him that. And then I have 1 that is biologically related to me, and she also has endometriosis. So I'm pretty sure my mom has it, but she hasn't gotten checked. She had a hysterectomy in the early 90s. And I'm pretty sure she had endo. They just really didn't know how to identify it, or her doctor didn't. So yeah, there's a good chance that there's a lot of people walking around that have it and don't know. So it's good to advocate that way if people have symptoms or, if they're having really painful periods and you say, oh, I have endo, or I know somebody who has endo, have you gotten checked for that? Then maybe you can help them. And also, you never know, like, who's been to what doctor, and maybe the doctor isn't aware that a laparoscopy is necessary. They're running, imaging. That was my story. Imaging forever and a day, blood work forever and a day, nothing was coming back. I didn't know what to ask for. So I could definitely help somebody in the long run. But like I said, we are updating the FAQs on our website. So check it out. We're going to add some pre-surgery tips, and I just uploaded some post-surgery tips. We'll probably add to them as we think of things. And then a sneak peek. So we are going to be launching our first scholarship program very shortly. So if you haven't liked our Facebook page or our Instagram, please go like those, because we're going to have some big details on that very shortly. So just giving you a little sneak peek that we will be doing a scholarship program within the next couple of weeks. So please be sure to go like those pages. And then if you have endometriosis and live in the DFW Metroplex, we have a endo group that I'll probably be sharing a little bit more information in there before we launch it to everybody on our regular social media platforms. So please be sure that you're liking those pages, joining that group. And we're also working on something for the fall, a meetup. But it'll be only for endo warriors in the DFW Metroplex. So like the group, join the group, and that way you find out about that stuff. So I'm going to hop off for the night. I'm usually on here till about 9:45. I ran a little over, but thanks everybody for joining. And if you're watching this and the replay, if you want to comment #replay, I will reach out to you and just make sure that any questions that you have get answered. And then always remember, we're here for you. Any questions, never a bother. We're always happy to help. Please be sure to message the page, or on our website, you can also find a box to send us a message, and we'll get back to you in about 2 business days or so. We try to respond to emails same day, but it doesn't always happen. I'm a little bit behind right now. I think I'm about 2 days behind, so I'm going to go respond to emails, and I hope everybody has a great night.